The alarm screamed through the metal halls of the facility. Red lights flashed against the walls, washing the rooms in a bloody glow. Doors slammed shut. Heavy boots thundered as guards rushed forward with rifles ready. A voice echoed through the loudspeakers. Warning. Specimen 47 has escaped containment. All units secure your zones. The word struck fear into the people inside. The scientists, who had always spoken with calm and pride about their work, now looked pale. Some hid behind their desks. Others shouted orders into comms. None of them dared step into the hall. Everyone knew what Specimen 47 could do. It was not just another creature. It was faster than the cameras, stronger than the steel doors. Its mind was sharp, and its will was fierce. For years it had been locked in a glass cage, studied and tested, never free. Now the cage was broken. The guards swept the hallways in squads of 4. Their lights cut through the smoke of burst wires and sparks. Every shadow looked alive. Every noise made them spin their weapons. One by one, security locks sealed behind them, trapping them in a moving maze. Somewhere in the darkness, the alien moved. Its body was sleek, built for speed, its limbs bending in ways that looked wrong to human eyes. Its skin shimmered faintly, catching the red light, like wet stone. But its eyes glowed the most, 2 bright points of green fire. It was wounded. A deep burn cut across its side from the electric barriers it had smashed. Pain slowed it, but not enough. Freedom was stronger than pain. It slipped past guards. It climbed walls and ceilings, leaving no trace but a faint hiss of breath. The humans were hunters in their own base, but the alien was something else. It was a shadow that did not belong here. Alarms echoed into the night outside. Across the high fence, past towers and scanners, the city lights blinked faintly. The alien wanted those lights, not because it understood the city, but because it knew the lab was deaf. Out there, maybe there was a chance. At that same hour, a boy walked home from class. His name was Ethan. He was 18, a student at the city academy. He wore a backpack full of books and walked along the quiet streets near the edge of town. The night was cool, the lamps flickered, and he hummed softly to himself. He had no idea that the alarms, faint and distant, were not just another drill. Ethan was tired. His exams had been long, and his mind felt heavy with numbers and history dates. All he wanted was food and sleep. The last thing he expected was that something was watching him from the shadows. The alien reached the fence of the facility. It crouched low, eyes darting left and right. Guard lights scanned the yard, but in a moment of luck, the beams swept the wrong way. The alien leapt, silent as breath, climbing the metal bars and slipping into the darkness beyond. Freedom. But freedom came with danger. Sirens wailed louder. Drones flew into the air, their lights cutting through the streets as they searched. The alien pressed itself against walls, bleeding and weak. It smelled the air, tasted dust and smoke, and followed the faint hum of the city. Then it saw him. Ethan turned a corner. His steps echoed softly against the cracked pavement. His eyes flicked around, for he felt it too, the strange weight of being watched. He pulled his backpack tighter and tried to walk faster. The alien crouched in an alley. Its green eyes narrowed. It could smell fear, not just from guards, but from this boy. Yet the fear was different, softer, not cruel. The boy was human, the same kind who locked it in a cage, the same kind who cut into its skin, who tied it to wires. Instinct told it to strike, to kill before being killed. But something held it back. It staggered forward instead. Its legs shook. Its blood left drops on the ground. When Ethan looked up, he froze. From the shadows came a figure unlike anything he had seen. Tall, bent, with strange limbs and eyes that glowed like fireflies. His heart slammed against his ribs. For a moment, time stopped. Ethan thought it would leap at him, thought it would tear him apart in seconds. But instead, the alien fell. It dropped to its knees right in front of him, its head lowered. Its body trembled, not in rage, but in pain. Their eyes met. Ethan's breath caught. The creature's eyes were not full of hate. They were full of fear. Fear and something else, pleading. Behind them, in the distance, voices shouted. Searchlights drew closer. Ethan's hand shook. He could run. He could scream. He could call the guards and let them take it back. But he did not. The alien's chest rose and fell. Its voice was low, broken, almost a whisper. Words came out, jagged but clear enough. Help me. And in that moment, Ethan understood. This was not a monster hunting him. This was a prisoner, desperate to survive. And somehow it had chosen him. The air was still for a heartbeat. Ethan could hear nothing but the thudding of his own pulse. His chest rose and fell, fast, almost too fast, as if his body wanted to run away, while his legs froze in place. The alien knelt in front of him, its breathing heavy, its strange limbs trembling. The glow of its eyes dimmed for a moment, as if even the light inside it was fading. Ethan opened his mouth, but no words came. He had no idea what to say to something that was not supposed to exist. His teachers had told him about research centers on the edge of the city, but no one ever explained what they kept locked inside. Now, in a lonely alley, he was staring right at one of their secrets. The creature raised its head slowly. Its face was strange, not human, not animal. Lines of scars cut across its skin. Its mouth opened slightly, sharp teeth glinting in the lamplight, but its eyes were what held Ethan still. There was no hunger in them, no rage, only exhaustion, only pain, and a silent call for help. The boy's instinct screamed at him to flee. He thought of his parents, his home, his safe bed waiting for him. He thought of how easy it would be to turn, to run, to let the soldiers deal with whatever this was. Yet something deep inside whispered louder. Something told him that if he left now, if he betrayed those glowing eyes, he would regret it forever. Ethan crouched down, his knees shaking. "Can you understand me?" he whispered, though he was not sure if his voice even reached the creature. The alien's head tilted. It blinked slowly, then let out a sound like a rough breath, broken into fragments. "Help." The word was twisted, jagged, like it hurt the alien to push it out. Ethan's throat went dry. He wanted to ask 100 questions, but footsteps echoed down the street. Soldiers were sweeping closer, their heavy boots hammering the ground in rhythm. Searchlights cut across the nearby walls, bright beams sliding closer. Panic rushed into Ethan's chest. If they turned the corner now, they would see everything. The alien would be captured or killed, and Ethan himself would be dragged into something far worse than detention at school. His hands moved before his mind made the choice. He grabbed the alien's arm. "Come on," Ethan hissed. "Get up now." The alien swayed, weak, but it listened. It rose slowly, its long frame hunched to hide in the shadows. Ethan pulled it deeper into the alley, his heart slamming harder every second. He pressed them both against the wall, holding his breath. The soldiers marched past the alley. Their voices rang clear. Specimen 47 went this way. Sector 3 clear. Move to the next block. The light swept over the alley mouth. For one breathless moment, Ethan thought they were caught. But the beam slid away, and the footsteps grew softer as the squad moved on. Ethan released the air he had been holding, his whole body trembling. He looked at the alien again. Up close, the wounds were worse. Thick, dark blood oozed from its side, where the burn marks spread like fire across its skin. Cuts lined its arms. It was amazing the creature was even standing. "You're hurt," Ethan said softly, though he knew it was obvious. He reached into his backpack and pulled out an old cloth, one he usually used for gym practice. He pressed it against the wound. The alien hissed, sharp and low, its teeth bared, but it did not pull away. It let him press harder, let him try to stop the bleeding. For a long moment, they stayed like that, boy and alien, silent in the shadows, one trying to heal, the other trying to trust. Then the alien spoke again, its voice clearer, though still broken. "Who, man? You no hurt." Ethan shook his head quickly. "No, I won't hurt you." The alien's chest heaved. Its strange eyes locked on his, as if searching for truth in the boy's words. Finally, it lowered its head in a small nod. A strange calm washed over Ethan. Fear still lived inside him, but another feeling had joined it, responsibility. Somehow, this being had chosen him, out of all the humans in the city. Somehow, it had trusted him, even with soldiers hunting close behind. "Okay," Ethan whispered, his voice steadier now. "We need to get you out of here. But you have to follow me, and you have to stay quiet. Understand?" The alien's mouth opened slightly. Then slowly, it copied the movement Ethan had made with his head. A nod. They moved together through the back alleys, the sound of sirens rising in the distance. Drones whirred above, their lights sweeping across the streets, searching for movement. Ethan led the way, his steps fast but careful, while the alien followed like a wounded shadow. Every corner brought new danger. At one turn, they froze as a drone hovered overhead, its red eye glowing as it scanned the ground. Ethan pressed himself against the wall, pulling the alien with him. He held his breath until the drone flew on. At another street, they ducked behind trash bins as a squad passed by, weapons ready. The alien's claws scraped the metal lightly, and Ethan had to grip its arm to stop the sound. Finally, they slipped into an old storage room behind a closed shop. The door creaked but held as Ethan pushed it shut. Dust covered the shelves, boxes lay stacked high, and the air smelled of rust. But it was quiet. Safe enough for now. The alien sank against the wall, its body shaking with every breath. Ethan dropped his backpack and sat down across from it, his mind racing. He had so many questions. What was this thing? Why had it been locked up? What did it want from him? But when he looked at its scars, at its tired eyes, he realized the first question was the only one that mattered. Would it survive? Ethan tore another strip from his cloth and cleaned the wound as best he could. The alien winced, but did not fight him. Instead, it watched him closely, its glowing eyes softer now, less wild. At last, when the silence grew heavy, Ethan spoke. "Why me?" he asked quietly. "Why did you come to me?" The alien stared for a long time, as if searching for words it did not have. Finally, in a voice rough and low, it said, "Who man eyes no fear. Others cage. You free." Ethan's throat tightened. He wanted to argue, to say he was just a student, just an ordinary boy who could barely pass his math tests. But the alien had chosen him, and somehow, that choice felt final. Outside, the city trembled under the search. Soldiers barked orders. Sirens cut through the night. The hunt was not over. Ethan knew one thing for certain. His life would never be the same again. He looked at the alien, still bleeding but alive, still watching him with trust. "All right," Ethan whispered, his voice firm now. "I'll help you. Whatever it takes." The alien's eyes glowed brighter for a moment, and it whispered a single word in return. "Together." And in that small, dusty room, boy and alien sealed a silent promise. The hunt was only beginning. The night was no longer quiet. Sirens wailed from every street corner. Drones buzzed high above, their red eyes sweeping across rooftops. Military trucks rolled down the roads, soldiers leaping out with rifles ready. The city that had once felt safe to Ethan now looked like a hunting ground, and he was walking through it with the very thing they were hunting. The alien leaned against the wall as they moved. Every few steps its legs wavered, as if the weight of its wounds might drag it down. But its glowing eyes never left Ethan's back. Even broken, even hunted, it trusted the boy. Ethan tried to walk with purpose, like someone who belonged on the streets this late. He carried his backpack in one hand, pretending nothing was wrong, while his free hand kept close to the alien's arm. He prayed that the shadows would hide them both. But the shadows had eyes. A drone swept over the street ahead, its searchlight cutting across the pavement. Ethan yanked the alien into a narrow gap between two buildings. The beam passed by, barely missing them. The sound of whirring wings grew fainter as the drone floated away. Ethan pressed his hand against his chest. His heart felt like it might break free. He turned to the alien, whispering harshly, "You have to be quieter. They'll hear us." The alien tilted its head. Then slowly, it pressed one clawed finger against its own mouth, a gesture it had copied from Ethan earlier. Silence. Ethan nodded quickly. Good. Exactly. They slipped deeper into the maze of alleys. The city lights glowed brighter the further they went, but so did the danger. Soldiers were everywhere. Trucks blocked main roads. Dogs barked in cages, ready to track any scent. Ethan's mind raced. Where could he take this creature? His home? No. His parents would panic, and the soldiers would search every house. The school. Too crowded. The only choice was to keep moving, to stay one step ahead until morning. Behind them, a squad of soldiers entered the alley they had left. Their boots pounded the ground, and one of them carried a scanner that beeped faintly. Life signs in this area. The soldier growled. It's close. Ethan froze when he heard the voice. He shoved the alien behind a pile of old crates, then crouched low. The scanner beeped faster. Here, a soldier shouted. Light cut through the crates. Ethan felt the beam brush across his shoe. He swallowed hard, holding his breath. The alien shifted, claws twitching as if ready to strike. Ethan quickly placed a hand on its arm. No, he mouthed, shaking his head. The alien's eyes narrowed, but it stilled. The soldiers stepped closer. The crates rattled as one kicked them. And then, a loud crash echoed from the far end of the alley. A trash bin had tipped over, spilling metal across the street. The soldiers spun. There. Move. They ran toward the noise, weapons raised. The scanner beeped wildly, then steadied as the squad disappeared into the distance. Ethan let out a shaky breath. His legs felt weak, but he forced himself to stand. We need to go now, he whispered. The alien followed, slower this time. Its body was heavy with exhaustion, but it matched Ethan's pace. They moved until the alleys widened into an old subway entrance, long abandoned. Rusted gates hung open, and broken steps led down into the dark. Ethan stared at the shadowy tunnel, and then at the streets full of soldiers. This way, he said, leading the alien down. The air inside the subway was damp and thick with dust. Their footsteps echoed faintly. Broken glass crunched under Ethan's shoes. The alien sniffed the air, low and cautious, its claws scratching the walls as if testing the space. Deeper and deeper they went, until the noise of sirens was only a distant hum. For a moment, it almost felt safe. But safety never lasted long. Ethan sat on a cracked bench, his chest rising and falling as he tried to catch his breath. The alien crouched nearby, its glowing eyes scanning the shadows. It pressed a claw to its wound, dark blood still seeping through the cloth. Ethan pulled a bottle of water from his bag and handed it over. Here, he said softly. The alien tilted its head, then took the bottle carefully. Its claws were sharp, but its grip was gentle. It poured the water over its wound first, hissing in pain, before bringing the bottle to its mouth. It drank awkwardly, spilling some, but it drank. For the first time, Ethan allowed himself a small smile. You're learning. The alien's eyes flickered. Learn fast, it said, the words broken but clearer than before. Ethan's smile faded when he heard faint voices above. The soldiers were spreading their search into the subway. The alien stiffened, its body going rigid. Its head tilted slightly, as if it could hear further than Ethan. Then it whispered, "Hunters! Down!" Ethan grabbed his backpack. "We need to move deeper." They rushed into the tunnels, past broken lights and peeling posters. The further they went, the darker it grew. Ethan used his phone screen as a weak lamp, the glow just enough to see the rails ahead. Behind them, flashlights cut through the dark. Voices shouted, "Spread out. Don't let it escape." The chase had begun. Ethan's lungs burned as he ran. His shoes slipped on the dusty floor. The alien, though injured, kept pace, its movements smoother in the shadows. It seemed to know how to blend into darkness, how to vanish between flashes of light. They ducked behind an old vending machine as soldiers stormed past. One paused, scanning the ground with a thermal device. The alien pressed close to Ethan, its body heat hidden behind his. The soldier frowned, the scanner blinking, but then turned away. When the squad disappeared, Ethan whispered, "How did you do that?" The alien's voice was low. "Mask with you. Together." Ethan didn't understand the science, but he understood the meaning. The alien could hide better when close to him, almost like their heat or energy blended. Another reason it had chosen him. The soldiers' shouts grew louder again. Dogs barked somewhere in the tunnels. Ethan knew they couldn't stay here. They ran again, deeper, until the tunnel opened into a wide chamber where water dripped from the ceiling. Old rails split in 3 directions. The alien stopped, its head snapping left and right. Ethan stared at the paths. Which way? The alien's claws scraped the wall as it pointed to the darkest tunnel. That. Before Ethan could argue, a flare burst behind them, flooding the chamber with red light. Soldiers poured in, rifles raised. Target sighted. Don't let them escape. Bullets sparked against the walls. Ethan grabbed the alien's arm and sprinted into the dark tunnel. His legs screamed with effort, his breath tearing from his lungs. The alien limped but kept moving, faster than Ethan thought possible. The tunnel twisted, narrow and endless, until finally they burst into an open maintenance shaft. Rusted ladders climbed toward the surface. Ethan pointed. Up. The alien climbed first, its claws digging into the metal rungs. Ethan followed, his hands slippery with sweat. Below, soldiers shouted, their lights filling the tunnel. The alien reached the top and shoved the grate aside. Cool night air rushed in. It pulled Ethan up with surprising strength, and together they collapsed onto the street above. They were free again for now. The night stretched long, and the city never grew silent. Sirens still echoed in the distance. Drones swept above rooftops like glowing insects, their red eyes scanning every corner. Soldiers barked orders into radios. Trucks rolled down the streets, blocking exits and sealing districts. But for now, Ethan and the alien had found a moment of stillness. They hid inside an abandoned workshop at the edge of the city. Rusted tools hung on the walls, broken machines rested on tables, and dust coated every surface. The door was locked from the inside, and heavy curtains covered the windows. The place smelled of oil and iron. Ethan sat on a crate, his body aching from running. His shirt clung to him with sweat. He wiped his forehead and looked at the alien across the room. It crouched low, its claws pressed against its wound. Blood still dripped slowly, dark and sticky. "You need help," Ethan whispered. His voice was quiet, almost afraid to echo. The alien's head lifted. Its green eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. "Help, yes," it said, each word rough, as if torn from its throat. Ethan looked through his backpack. He found another cloth, a roll of tape, and a small first aid kit his mother had once packed for him. His hand shook as he opened the kit. He had patched small cuts before, but never anything like this. "Stay still," he said, his voice firmer. "I'll try." The alien's chest rose and fell, but it obeyed. Ethan cleaned the wound with water. The alien hissed, sharp and low, its claws scraping the floor, but it did not move away. Ethan pressed the cloth down and wrapped the tape around it, layer after layer, until the bleeding slowed. When it was done, Ethan sat back, breathing hard. That should hold for now. The alien touched the bandage, its claws careful not to tear it. Then it looked at him with strange intensity. Why help? Ethan froze. The question struck deeper than he expected. Why had he helped? Why had he not run, not shouted for soldiers, not saved himself? He looked at the alien, at the scars across its body, the marks of chains and burns, at the fear that still lingered in its glowing eyes. He swallowed. Because you asked, Ethan said finally. And because I couldn't let them take you back. The alien stared at him. Silence filled the room, heavy and sharp. Then, slowly, it spoke again. Human's cage. Cut. Burn. Not you. Ethan leaned forward. His heart pounded as he realized what it meant. They hurt you. The alien nodded once. Tests. Pain. Always pain. Images filled Ethan's mind, cold labs, bright lights, sharp tools. Scientists in white coats, standing over a glass cage. The alien strapped down, its body torn open. The thought made him sick. They tortured you, Ethan whispered. Yes, the alien rasped. Escape or die. Ethan sat in silence, his hands clenched tight. His teachers had always spoken about research centers as places of science, of progress. But now he saw the truth in the alien's scars. This was not research. This was cruelty. The alien's voice grew softer. I fight. Break cage. Run. They hunt. You stop. Ethan shook his head slowly. I didn't stop them. I just got lucky. You could have chosen anyone. The alien's eyes narrowed. Not luck. Choice. Human eyes, no cage. The words cut through Ethan's chest. He did not feel brave. Not at all. He felt small and terrified. But the alien had seen something in him. Something even he did not see in himself. For a moment neither spoke. The workshop was quiet except for the faint dripping of water from a pipe. Finally, Ethan asked, What are you? Where did you come from? The alien tilted its head. It touched its chest with one claw. Name no human word. Call. Kale. Kale. Ethan repeated softly. The name felt strange on his tongue, but it carried weight. Kale nodded. World far. Taken. Ship broken. Hunter's catch. Year's cage. Ethan's eyes widened. You're not from here. You were captured. Kale's gaze grew sharper. Yes. Taken by humans. Ethan's throat tightened. He wanted to deny it. To say humans would never do such a thing. But the scars were proof. The fear was proof. He could not lie to himself anymore. Kale leaned closer, its glowing eyes locking on his. You different. Why? Ethan looked down at his hands. I don't know, he admitted. I saw you, and you didn't look like a monster. You looked scared, like me sometimes. Kale blinked slowly. Then, in a voice softer than before, it said, Fear same, bond same. Ethan raised his head. For the first time, he noticed Kale's shoulders relax. The alien no longer crouched like a predator, but sat more like a companion. A strange warmth spread in Ethan's chest. He was still afraid, yes, but the fear no longer controlled him. Kale lowered its head, almost like a bow. You protect. I protect. Ethan felt the weight of the words. It was not just a promise. It was a bond. Outside, the sound of soldiers grew louder. Boots stomped against pavement. Dogs barked. A voice shouted through a megaphone. Specimen 47 is near. Sweep every building. Ethan's heart jumped. He looked at Kale. We have to move. They'll find this place soon. Kale rose, slower this time, but with more strength than before. It placed one claw gently on Ethan's shoulder. Together, it said again. Ethan nodded. Together. They pushed through the back door of the workshop into a narrow alley. The night air was cold, and the glow of searchlights washed over rooftops. Ethan pulled his backpack close, his legs already tense with the thought of running again. But something had changed. He no longer felt like a boy lost in the dark. He felt like someone who carried a secret, someone who had made a choice. Cale followed close behind, silent as a shadow. Its glowing eyes scanned the sky, always alert. As they slipped deeper into the city's maze, Ethan whispered, "We'll find somewhere safer. I'll figure this out." Cale's voice was quiet but steady. "Safe with you." The word struck Ethan harder than any alarm or shout. A dangerous alien, a hunted creature feared by soldiers and scientists, had put its trust in him, an ordinary boy. And for the first time that night, Ethan believed he might be strong enough to carry it. The chase was not over. The hunt would only grow sharper. But now Ethan carried more than fear. He carried Cale's secret. He carried Cale's trust. And he swore to himself he would not break it. Not for anyone. The night dragged on like a long shadow. Ethan and Cale moved through streets where the lamps flickered and the walls leaned with age. Every sound made Ethan's body tense. An echo of boots, the buzz of a drone, the bark of a dog in the distance. Yet through it all, Cale walked close, always watching, always alert. They slipped into another alley, then through the back of an old market. Broken stalls leaned against one another, their cloths torn and heavy with dust. No one came here anymore. It was quiet, forgotten by the city. "This will work," Ethan whispered, pointing to a corner where fallen shelves made a small shelter. "We can rest here. Just for a little while." Cale lowered itself carefully, the bandage on its side dark with blood, but still holding. Its glowing eyes flicked across the shadows, then returned to Ethan. "Safe?" it asked in its rough, broken voice. Ethan gave a small nod. "Safe for now." He dropped his backpack and sat cross-legged. His legs ached and his mind spun. He wanted to collapse, to sleep and forget. But Cale's presence kept him awake. This was no dream. He was not alone. The alien shifted, watching him with a strange focus. "You tired?" Cale said slowly, the words sounding less broken than before. Ethan blinked. "You're learning faster." Cale's head tilted. "Learn from you." Words shape. Ethan couldn't help but smile a little, even through the fear. "Then maybe I'm a good teacher." Cale touched its chest with one claw. "Teacher. Protector. Bond." The word struck deep. Bond. Ethan felt the weight of it, heavier than books or rules or exams. Cale wasn't just saying it, they both felt it. Ethan pulled out a piece of bread from his bag. He tore it in half and held one piece out. "Here. Food." Cale looked at it, suspicious at first. Then it reached forward and took the bread between careful claws. It sniffed, then bit. The teeth cut clean through. Cale chewed slowly, as if testing. Finally, it swallowed and looked at Ethan again. "Food," it repeated. Ethan chuckled softly. "Yeah, food." He ate the other half, the taste dry but calming. Sharing even this small thing felt strange, almost sacred. For a while, they sat in silence, each chewing, each breathing in rhythm. The world outside still hunted, but in this forgotten market corner, time slowed. Then Ethan spoke again, his voice low. "You said they took you. From your world." Cale nodded once. "Yes. Long time." "What was it like?" "Your home." Cale's eyes dimmed, the glow softer, almost sad. "Sky red. Ground stone. Rivers burn, not water. Home strong." But it paused, struggling with words. "Gone." Ethan's chest tightened. "Gone." Cale lowered its head. "Hunters. War. Shipbreak. Alone." Ethan wanted to ask more, but the sorrow in Cale's voice stopped him. Instead, he said softly, "You're not alone now." Cale's eyes lifted again, brighter this time. It reached out one claw, and tapped Ethan's chest gently. "Bond," it said again. Ethan swallowed the lump in his throat. He nodded. "Bond." They sat together in the silence of the market. Outside, soldiers moved through the streets, their lights flashing against broken windows. Suddenly Cale stiffened. Its body went rigid, head tilting sharply. Ethan frowned. "What is it?" Cale whispered. "Hunters. Close." Ethan listened. At first, he heard nothing. Then faintly, boots crunching glass, voices barking orders. Soldiers were sweeping the market. Ethan's pulse raced. He grabbed Cale's arm. "We have to move." Cale rose, slower this time, but followed. Together they slipped through the shadows, crouching low. They reached the back door, but when Ethan pushed it open, a soldier's voice shouted, "There!" Light exploded across the room. Ethan's heart slammed. He grabbed Cale and ducked behind a stall. Bullets sparked against the wood, splintering it. "Run!" Ethan cried. Cale leapt forward, grabbing Ethan's backpack with one claw and dragging him along. They bolted through the side exit, racing into the alleys again. Soldiers followed, their boots pounding hard, their shouts echoing. Drones swooped low, their red eyes glowing. Ethan's leg screamed with effort, but Cale pulled him faster, its movements still sharp despite the wound. They darted left, then right, weaving through the maze of streets. A drone shot a beam of light at them. Cale snarled, its eyes glowing bright. It grabbed a loose metal pipe and hurled it upward. The drone cracked and spun, crashing into a wall. Sparks lit the alley. Ethan stared, stunned. You can fight." Cale growled low. "Protect. Bond." The words gave Ethan strength. He ran harder. They reached a dead-end wall. Soldiers' voices grew louder behind. Ethan's chest tightened in panic. "We're trapped." Cale crouched low. "Climb," it said. It bent its strange legs and leapt, claws digging into the wall like hooks. In seconds, it was halfway up. Ethan hesitated. "I can't do that." Cale looked down, glowing eyes sharp. "Trust. Bond." It reached down, one claw stretched toward him. Ethan's breath shook. He had no choice. He grabbed Cale's hand. The alien strength yanked him upward with surprising ease. His feet scraped against the wall as Cale pulled him higher. Bullets struck the bricks below as soldiers fired. But in seconds, they were on the rooftop, rolling onto the gravel. Ethan gasped for air, his chest burning. He looked at Cale, who crouched tall, scanning the horizon with fierce eyes. The soldiers shouted below, their voices fading. They could not climb as fast. Ethan sat up slowly. "You saved me." Cale looked at him, its voice calm but firm. "Bond. Protect." Ethan felt his fear twist into something new, respect. This was no helpless creature. Cale was wounded, yes, but still strong, still sharp, still dangerous when it had to be. And yet, it had not left him. It had chosen to protect him instead of running alone. They moved across rooftops until the lights below faded. Finally, they stopped on a quiet roof where broken antennas leaned. Ethan collapsed, breathing hard. Cale lowered itself beside him, its glow dimmer from exhaustion. For a long time, they said nothing. The stars above blinked faintly through the city haze. At last, Ethan whispered, "I don't know what will happen tomorrow, but I don't want to let them take you again." Cale turned its head, eyes glowing faintly. "Together, not take." Ethan nodded. His hands trembled, but his voice was steady. "Then I'll stay with you, whatever it takes." Cale lowered its head, almost like a bow again. "Human, not cage. Human bond." Ethan felt the words sink into him. He no longer saw Cale as just an alien or a fugitive. He saw it as something closer, a partner, a protector, maybe even a friend. The night air was heavy, filled with the faint hum of drones circling above the city. Ethan and Cale crouched on the rooftop, hidden between broken antennas and cracked concrete. Their breath came slow, measured, both waiting for the next move. But safety never lasted long. Cale's head snapped up. Its glowing eyes narrowed. Hunters close. Ethan followed its gaze. Down below, armored trucks rolled into the street. Soldiers spilled out, rifles raised, helmets shining in the pale light. They spread in formation, scanning rooftops with sharp beams of light. "They found us," Ethan whispered, his chest tight. Cale crouched low, claws digging into the rooftop gravel. "Stand. Fight or run." Ethan shook his head. Running had kept them alive this far. But now the city was closing in on every side. There was no escape left. The soldiers moved closer. A voice boomed from a loudspeaker. "Attention! You are harboring a dangerous specimen. Step forward and surrender the alien, or face lethal force." Ethan's hands trembled. He could almost feel the red dot of a scope waiting for him. He glanced at Cale, who crouched like a predator ready to strike. Then something in Ethan shifted. He remembered the alien's words: bond, protect. He stood. "Ethan!" Cale hissed, low and sharp. But Ethan raised his hands and stepped toward the edge of the rooftop, into the beams of light. Soldiers froze, rifles aimed at him. The loudspeaker crackled again. "Human, step aside. You are not our target. Give us the creature." Ethan's throat burned with fear, but he forced the words out. "No, you can't have him." The silence that followed was sharp, cutting. Then laughter broke from one of the soldiers. "The boy thinks he can shield it." Another voice answered coldly. "Orders are clear. Remove the human if necessary." Ethan's heart raced, but he stood firm. "You'll have to go through me first." Behind him, Cale rose slowly, eyes glowing like embers. Its shadow stretched tall against the wall, monstrous and powerful. A growl rumbled from deep in its chest, low and threatening. The soldiers shifted uneasily. Their rifles did not lower, but their stances changed. Fear seeped into the air. One soldier barked, "Shoot the alien." But before the trigger could be pulled, Cale leapt. It moved like lightning, claws slashing, body twisting through the air. A rifle clattered against the ground as Cale knocked it away. Sparks flew as claws scraped metal. The soldiers stumbled back, shouting in panic. Ethan dropped flat, covering his head as bullets cracked across the rooftop. But Cale did not fall. It roared, a sound so deep, so powerful, it seemed to shake the air itself. The soldiers froze. Even the drones hovered uncertainly above, their beams flickering. Cale stood tall now, chest heaving, eyes blazing. Wounded yet unbroken. A predator cornered, but stronger than any cage. And then it did something none of them expected. It stepped back and stood beside Ethan. Its claw reached out, resting lightly on the boy's shoulder. Together, they faced the soldiers. Ethan's voice shook, but it carried. "He's not a weapon. He's not your prisoner. He's with me." The soldiers hesitated. Some glanced at each other, unsure. They had been told the specimen was dangerous, uncontrollable. But here it stood, protective, not attacking, its choice clear. The loudspeaker voice cracked again, this time harsher. "Do not be fooled. The creature is manipulating you. Step aside now." Ethan clenched his fists. "No, he's my friend, and I won't let you take him." Cale growled again, louder, the sound like rolling thunder. Its eyes flared brighter, the glow spreading across the lines of its skin. The air hummed as if charged with energy. One soldier muttered, It's responding to him." Another snapped, "Stop talking. Fire." But the order never came, because Cale moved first. With a roar, it slammed its claws into the rooftop, sending cracks racing through the concrete. The soldiers stumbled as the roof shook beneath them. Dust and stone rained down. Cale leapt forward again, but this time it did not strike. Instead, it landed between Ethan and the soldiers, its body a living shield. It raised its arms wide, claws out, daring them to fire. The standoff was complete. Human and alien, side by side, against the rifles of an entire squad. "Shoot!" a commander screamed. But no shot came. The soldiers' hands trembled on their triggers. Their eyes darted between the boy standing firm and the alien bowing its body to protect him. The image burned into their minds. It was no monster, it was choosing. Ethan's voice rose, stronger now. If you kill him, you kill me too. The soldiers faltered. Their orders said one thing. Their eyes showed another. And then, from the shadows of the street, came the sound of engines. More trucks. More soldiers. Reinforcements. Cale's head turned. Many. Too many. Ethan's chest tightened. They couldn't fight them all. Then Cale leaned close, its voice rough but steady. Bond. Trust. Run. Before Ethan could speak, Cale scooped him into its arms and leapt from the rooftop. Bullets sprayed behind them, sparks lighting the night. They fell hard into a lower alley, rolling across broken crates. Ethan gasped, clutching Cale's shoulder. Cale stood fast, dragging him into the shadows. Move. They ran, the sound of soldiers and engines chasing from every side. Drones swept overhead, their lights slicing the dark. But Ethan no longer felt helpless. Not anymore. He was not running from Cale. He was running with him. Every corner, every turn, Cale shielded him, guided him, fought for him. And Ethan matched it with trust, never letting go, never slowing down. They burst through the back of an old subway entrance, the air thick with dust and echoes. Cale growled, pushing Ethan into the tunnel. Here, hide. Ethan shook his head. Not without you. Cale's glowing eyes softened. Together. The soldiers' voices grew louder at the entrance. Ethan grabbed Cale's claw, holding it tight. His voice was steady now, stronger than it had ever been. Then together it is. Whatever comes. Cale's chest rumbled, a sound like approval, like pride. It lowered its head, eyes burning bright. The tunnel lights flickered. The ground shook as soldiers stormed closer. And there they stood, boy and alien, side by side in the dark, waiting for the storm to break. The confrontation was not over. It had only begun. The tunnel stretched into darkness, damp and endless. Broken lamps flickered above, casting weak yellow light across cracked tiles. Ethan's chest rose and fell fast, his hand still gripping Cale's claw. Behind them, the sound of boots and shouts echoed closer, louder with every second. There was no time left. Cale turned its glowing eyes down the tunnel, scanning, searching. Way out, it said, voice rough. Ethan nodded, though his throat was dry. We just have to find it. The echo of engines thundered above. Trucks rolled into the streets above the subway, their weight rattling the ceiling dust. The soldiers were sealing every exit. Ethan's legs burned as they ran deeper. The tunnel curved, and an old sign showed, emergency exit. There, Ethan shouted, pointing. Cale quickened its pace, but the wound in its side bled again, dripping dark stains across the floor. Ethan saw the limp in Cale's step, the heavy drag of its breath. You can't push yourself like this, Ethan whispered. Cale growled low. Must. Protect. The word stung Ethan's chest. Protect. Always protect. But what if Cale couldn't? What if running only brought them to another trap? Ahead, a heavy steel door waited. Ethan shoved against it, his palms sweating. It didn't budge. Rust locked it shut. Cale stepped forward. Its claws dug into the door's edge, muscles straining. With a roar, it tore the hinges loose. The door crashed against the ground, sparks flying. They stumbled into a service tunnel lit by red lights. Alarms pulsed somewhere far off, their wails chasing into the dark. But as they ran forward, more shadows moved ahead. Soldiers. They blocked the tunnel, rifles raised. Their helmets glowed under the red lights, faceless and cold. Ethan skidded to a stop. His heart dropped into his stomach. There was no way back, and no way forward. Cale stepped in front of him, crouched low, claws ready. Its glow brightened, fierce and wild. The commander at the front raised his weapon. Surrender now. Boy, step away from the creature. Ethan shook his head, breath ragged. No, you'll kill him. The commander's voice sharpened. He's a specimen, not a friend. Don't throw your life away. But Ethan's voice cracked with fire. He's not a specimen. He chose me. And I chose him. If you want him, you'll have to shoot me too. For a moment, silence filled the tunnel. Only the dripping of water echoed. Cale's growl deepened. It spread its arms wide, its body a shield in front of Ethan. "Together," it said in a voice more human than before. The soldiers hesitated. The image before them burned strange and powerful. A human boy and an alien predator standing as one. The commander's hand trembled on his rifle, but then his voice hardened. "Open fire." The tunnel exploded in sound. Bullets screamed, sparks lit the walls, smoke filled the air. Kale roared and leapt, shielding Ethan with its body. Its claws struck the walls, knocking chunks of stone down. Bullets ripped into its side, but it did not fall. Instead, it swung its arm, sending soldiers crashing against the tunnel. Ethan screamed, trying to pull Kale back. "Stop! You'll die!" Kale snarled, blood dripping across its skin, but its glowing eyes stayed locked on Ethan. "Bond! Protect!" The firefight raged. Soldiers pressed forward, but Kale pushed back with every ounce of strength left. Ethan grabbed a fallen rifle, hands shaking, and fired wildly into the smoke, forcing the squad to break formation. "Go!" Kale roared. It shoved Ethan toward a side tunnel, where a faint wind whispered a way out. But Ethan refused. His feet planted firm. "I'm not leaving without you." Kale's chest heaved. Its glow flickered, weaker now. For the first time, Ethan saw fear in its eyes, not fear of death, but fear of leaving him alone. The soldiers regrouped. More boots thundered down the tunnel. Reinforcements were coming. Ethan's heart raced. He had only one thought left. They couldn't win like this. Not against so many. But maybe they could survive. "Kale," he whispered quickly, grabbing the alien's arm. "The tunnel ceiling, it's weak. If we bring it down, they can't follow." Kale blinked, then glanced up. The cracks in the stone spread wide above. Its claws flexed. Understanding lit its eyes. But then it looked back at Ethan. "Danger. You trapped." Ethan shook his head, fierce. "We'll find another way. Together." Kale stared at him for a heartbeat. Then it nodded once. "Bond." With a roar that shook the tunnel, Kale slammed its claws into the ceiling. Stone cracked. Dust rained down. Soldiers shouted in panic as the roof trembled. Ethan fired the rifle at the supports, adding to the collapse. The tunnel shook like thunder. Soldiers scrambled back, their shouts fading under the roar of falling rock. "Run!" Ethan shouted. Kale grabbed his hand, and together they sprinted down the side tunnel as the ceiling caved behind them. The sound of crushing stone drowned everything. Dust filled the air. The soldiers' voices vanished under rubble. They ran until their lungs burned, until the only sound was their own ragged breaths. Finally, they stumbled out into the open. Cold night air hit Ethan's face. Stars shone faintly above, framed by broken trees and an overgrown field outside the city. They were free. Ethan collapsed to his knees, coughing hard. Kale staggered beside him, blood dripping down its body, its glow faint. "Kale." Ethan crawled to its side, panic rushing through him. "Stay with me. Please stay with me." Kale's chest rose and fell, slow and heavy. Its glowing eyes dimmed, but it managed a faint growl, soft and almost like a laugh. Human strong. Brave. Bond. Ethan gripped its claw tight, tears stinging his eyes. "We made it. You hear me? We made it." Kale's head lowered, almost resting against Ethan's shoulder. Its voice was a whisper now. "Protect you. Always." Ethan shook his head fiercely. "No, not just you protecting me. I'll protect you too. That's what bond means." For a moment Kale was silent. Then its eyes flickered brighter, like a flame refusing to die. The stars above shone stronger, the night clearing as if the world itself was listening. Ethan looked at the horizon, where the city lights glowed far away. Soldiers would return. The hunt wasn't over. But for now, they had escaped. He wiped his face and stood, pulling Kale up with him. "Come on. We're not done. We'll find a place where they can't touch us. A place where you're not a specimen, not a prisoner, where you're free." Kale straightened slowly, its body weak, but its eyes glowing again with fire. "Free. Together." Ethan nodded. His fear had changed into something stronger, resolve. They had survived the cage, the chase, the guns, the collapse. And now, they would survive whatever came next. Boy and alien. Human and predator. Protector and protected. The bond held, and as long as it did, nothing could break them. The night swallowed them as they walked into the wild, leaving the city, the soldiers, and the cages behind. Their story was not over. It had only just begun.